All right, everybody, coming to you Thursday night, technically, on the squeakiest chair in the world. That's me, Brett, on the DG podcast. We're hanging out with Jason. Jason, how's it going? That's the noise of a text message I just got from Lindsay, who will not be joining us today. Who wanted to, but she's not feeling well.
Oh, well, I'm doing okay. Hopefully she's doing better. Or she'll keep improving anyway.
There's a lot going on and stuff. She gave plasma, and, she ate some spaghetti, and she's allergic to tomatoes. And it's like a compounded issue.
She is so funny with her health. It's like, in some ways, she's so careful about everything. Like, we had that pie that she made.
Yeah.
That had nothing in it she couldn't eat.
Yeah.
And then there's
she
other
still
times...
got sick somehow.
She did?
Yeah, she did.
And then sometimes it's like she's just like flirting with death. You know what I mean?
No, she didn't get sick from the pie. I think she got sick from the brownies or something that she made, or the cake we made for her birthday. That we got all ingredients that wouldn't make her sick, and it made her sick.
Like I said, it's almost like she's so careful in certain respects, and then she goes and eats spaghetti that she knows she can't eat.
Her favorite food is incidentally like the perfect storm for food that would kill her, which is lasagna.
Of course it is.
She's not lactose intolerant. She's allergic to milk and eggs and cheese, of course, and then tomatoes, and all of that is like the perfect storm for a lasagna. Not only that, but frequently you'll have like beef in lasagna,
right?
And she's a little allergic to beef. So it's like, what are you going to do? Her favorite food is something she cannot eat.
Oh, that's too bad. She needs to find a new favorite food, one that won't kill her.
Yeah, well, what can you do? Other than that, well, actually, let's roll into the intro, and then we'll talk about other stuff.
All right.
Hey, you guys!
All right. In news, I suppose, why don't we go on what Jason's been up to this week?
Haven't been up to a lot recently. I've been watching my kids play Lego Batman 3. They've been having a blast with it. Evidently, what happens in Lego Batman 3 is their personalities get switched. So, like, you have Robin and Lex Luthor's body, and Batman and Joker's body, and then you see, like, what intrigued me was I was watching them, and Flash kept stealing stuff. You know, they'd, like, complete a mission, and they'd come back to the watchtower, and there was this janitor sweeping the corridor or whatever, and Flash comes by and steals his broom. And I'm sitting there going, what on earth is going on? So I went and looked up, and evidently he gets, like, infected by Larfleeze or something. Larfleeze or whatever.
Larfleeze is the orange.
He's the Orange Lantern.
Yeah, the Orange Lantern, and there's only one Orange Lantern.
Yep.
Incidentally, which fits with Larfleeze's whole narrative.
Well, the thing is that the Orange Lanterns are powered by avarice, which is greed, which means that they would share any of their power.
Yeah.
So there's only one of them.
So he doesn't share it with anybody.
So yeah, it was kind of funny. But I've been playing more of the DLC from Borderlands, the pre-sequel. I'm liking it. It's a lot more immersive and stuff than the other DLC that they've been giving out for the pre-sequel. And it's entertaining. I always like how they've characterized Claptrap and stuff. And it actually tells you some of his backstory, like how he became a vault hunter, which is kind of funny. They have this vault hunting competition, and he gets involved, and there are a number of accidents all caused by him, which basically boils down to he becomes the new vault hunter because there's no one left. So, there's that, and then, on Monday, I was out helping my father-in-law, because he has a trailer park that he owns. And
Right.
one of the trailers, there was water coming out from underneath it. And so we couldn't get to the water shutoff valve. For whatever reason, either it got turned or when they put it in, it was turned funny. So we had to dig up the asphalt in front of the trailer and dig down almost 4 feet to find the cutoff. Well, it was full of water at the bottom, so he starts vacuuming it out. And he sees something floating in the water down there, and he's like, how did this stick get down there? And then he noticed it was moving, so he had this shop vac that he was using to vacuum out the water, so he nabs it with the shop vac. Turns out it's a 4-inch salamander. We have no idea how it got down there. At the bottom of this hole.
Go figure. It could be one of those things where you walk away and he's like, hey, water.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going in.
I'm going in. Cover me. But the thing is that we find the water shut off, and he tells us, okay, I've shut the water off. So we go climbing under the trailer and start digging down, because that's where the water's coming up. And this hole is filling up with water almost faster than we can suck the water out with the shop vac.
Right.
Because the shop vac will only hold 12 gallons, and it fills up, and we have to dump it, and by the time we get it back, it's like back up to where it was before.
Right.
He hadn't turned it off. So it just kept filling up the hole. So we finally get it shut off. We dig down almost another 4 feet through mud and gunk and all that stuff, and we finally find the pipe that's leaking, but we don't find the hole in the pipe. Come back the next day, dig a little more, find the hole, and they're like, okay, now we can call the plumber. So they call up the plumber, and the plumber says, okay, we can't really fit you in until such and such a time, and it was like next Monday. So they're like, we can't go for a week without water. You need to get here faster. And they're like, well, if you can get everything ready so that we can just go in, do the job real quick, and then get back out, we might be able to squeak you in. So we got everything ready for him, cleaned off the pipe and everything, called the plumber. The plumber is about ready to walk out the door when the guy who owns the business says, we're not going to do it. And he's like, what? Why aren't you going to do it? And he says, we guarantee our work. And we can't guarantee that we can fix this leak and you won't have a problem with it again. And so he's like, crap. So who do I call now? So they told him to call somebody else. And this other company's like, yeah, we can do it, but we can't do it the way you want us to do it. And we're like, what do you mean? He says, well, we could go in and we could replace the section that's broken, but it's this older stuff that hasn't been used for years, and they can't guarantee that it won't break again, and we'll have to dig down another 4 feet. So what they're going to do is basically they're going to attach a new pipe to the other end, and then basically attach the one end to a backhoe and yank it through the ground. So we dug 2 4-foot holes, one of which was for nothing.
Nice.
So yeah. And of course it's the one underneath the trailer that was basically a complete waste of time.
Right.
So actually I still have the salamander. I've been trying to get it to eat some crickets I got at the pet shop this morning. I need to...
Yeah, definitely ask Lindsay about it.
Yeah, will do.
She's an expert on all that junk. Other than that, I mean, we had April Fools, and there was some stupid April Fools stuff.
Yeah, very true.
There are a few Let's Play channels that will, like, replace their videos with, oh, this is our new thing, and it's stupid. Or, I don't really celebrate April Fools. Like, Lindsay, knowing me, if I got, like, tricked on to the point of, like, humiliation,
right,
my reaction would be so bad. Like, I would punch somebody.
Very true.
Which is why I don't like April Fools, and I don't care for it. And she's like, I know, and I figured that's what your reaction would be. So the best thing I could think of was something like, and it sounds stupid. She was thinking, well, I could get a Dr. Pepper and give it to you, and then afterwards be like, haha, that was root beer. I was like, wow, that's really clever. She's like, that's like the cutest thing I could think of to do that wouldn't, like, piss you off.
You know, that's the kind of thing, you know, April Fool's is a strange holiday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is where we're going to get nerdy. The thing is that April 1st used to be the new year. And then they changed it to January. And then people who were still celebrating in April, like, hadn't got the message, and they're like, April Fools, because it was no longer the new year.
Is that how it started?
Uh-huh.
I hadn't heard that. I usually know a lot about history stuff. So earlier in the week, there was this really good deal for PlayStation 4s on Amazon that I've been looking at. And I keep up to date on the good deals when they hit the internet. I read the Reddit and stuff. And it was a really good deal for a few different reasons. One, it was a PlayStation 4 for $400, which is about the normal price. But it was packaged with Bloodborne, as well as The Last of Us, the remastered edition that came out for the PlayStation 4. And it came with an additional $20 for Amazon that I just bought a PlayStation Network card for $20.
Uh-huh.
But all of that for the $400, and that $20 plus the two other games, if you consider those at retail, is like $150 extra on top of just a $400 PlayStation 4. And especially when you buy a new console, getting games with it is that extra added on $60 every time you get something else. And it's hard to just buy a new console and then have to fork out all the extra bits. You know what I mean? It's
right.
Like, yeah, I'm going to buy a new console, but that's going to end up being another $460 as opposed to just the $400. And even then, you only have one game. And what if that game sucks?
Right.
And I mentioned it to Lindsay, and she got really excited about the deal. And she's like, "Well, if you want to get it, I'll pitch in $200 or whatever." And I was like, "No, I don't want you to." You know, she doesn't have a lot of money and stuff. And it went back and forth, and I was like, "Well, as long as you let me pay you back." Because I had $200 at the time, and I never have $200 in hand, in cash. Like, that's the most money I've had in a while, just in hand. It's usually like, oh, I've got $40 or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if I was ever going to get a PlayStation 4, it was going to be now. So I relented to Lindsay, and we went both went in halvesies, and I'm selling my blood, or I've got my blood money, so to speak. I'm selling plasma. So I'm getting about $70 a week anyway. So it's not going to be super difficult for me to pay her back. But I got one, and she ordered it, and apparently simply because she had Amazon Prime, it got here in like 2 days.
Amazon Prime is awesome.
It got here so freaking fast. It was like she ordered it 2 days ago, and then it was here. I was like, really? It's one of those things where you figured it might not get here till like next week or something.
Right.
So I plugged it in, registered my account, spent a bunch of time typing in my password for that, typing in my password for YouTube, for Netflix, doing all of those things, went to go redeem my codes on there. And The Last of Us, they gave me as a downloadable, so I put it on to download. And it's like 40 gigs. And it's been downloading the whole time, and I've actually haven't played anything on there.
Of course not.
I felt like a douchebag, though, because I owe Chance some money for some games.
Uh-huh.
And it's like when you owe somebody some money and then you're like, yeah, I'm going to go buy a PS4. It's like, oh, come on. You couldn't pay me the $10 or whatever you owe me. You went and bought a PS4. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of a douche. So I went and told Chance about it. And he's like, dude, forget about it. I was like, I'm just saying, I will get you back. He's like, screw the money. I was like, I'm just saying, I will pay you.
Well, he's a geek after our own heart in certain areas, and so he sees this as you owe me $10, or you can get a console with 2 awesome games on it.
Yeah. Well,
get the console.
That's the thing. Me and Chance kind of dump on each other constantly. We're at that stage in the friendship where we've gotten far too comfortable saying crappy things about one another. Like I asked him because Chance got Dark Souls. Did I mention this in the podcast yet?
Yeah, you had mentioned that
on the last episode. He got Dark Souls, and I asked him how Dark Souls
2 episodes ago, I think.
Really?
I think so.
So it was part A or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I asked him how it was going earlier this week, and he was like, "Oh, I haven't played Dark Souls at all, but how's your Dark Soul going?" And I was like, "Pretty good. It's slowly draining my humanity. Thus, it's easier to do the terrible things that I do."
Nice.
And suck it, Chance. But it's that sort of, it's the guy friendship, I guess.
Well, it's one of those things that with guys and girls are so different with their friendships. We have the whole girls talk bad about each other behind their backs. Guys just do it to their friends' faces, and it's no big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I used to harass, and he's a good friend of mine. We haven't, unfortunately, distance really makes it hard to talk anymore, but because being that we're a podcast and everything, we're online, I really hate online communication.
Yeah. Well, so
anyway,
do I, the stupid.
So I used to rag on him so much. He hated it. But he didn't hate it enough to not be my roommate in college, so.
Were you just a piece of crap to him or whatever?
Not really. But I did take, if he left an opening, I was there to make sure he knew it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So.
Other than that, I've been watching House of Cards, which everybody makes such a weirdly big deal about. It's all right. It's not brilliant. It kind of makes you feel bad about life. Other than that, okay, here's something I'm going to be pissed off about. So I buy this thing, and it comes with this card in there that's, get the most out of your PlayStation 4, and you could sign up for PlayStation Plus if you've never had it before and get 14 days free.
Right.
And it also came with a little card that says, get started with $10 to spend on the PlayStation Store. I was like, oh, that's cool. And it has a little code on there. So as I was setting everything up, I type in the code, and it's like, code invalid, or whatever. I was like, really? Okay. And I went and did some more stuff, typed it again, and the codes are like 12 characters long.
Uh-huh.
Type it in again, or slowly click it in again with the controller. Code invalid. I was like, all right, okay, that's the thing. Tried it like 3 more times. Went online, searching to see if there's been a problem with the codes. Went searching all over the place, see if there's a problem with the codes. Went on the website to find a phone number to call PlayStation, who would close it in 20 minutes at my phone call, and it said the wait was 20 minutes. Considered going on a live chat on PlayStation Network just to see if I couldn't figure out why the code wasn't working on the PS4.
Yeah.
And I finally looked at it and realized that it expired 2 days ago. What they sent me in the box with the PS4 for $10 free on the PlayStation Store expired exactly 2 days ago on 3/31. That freaking... They really... I don't know why this was cheaper, or... Because it was on Amazon. It wasn't like on a D-legit site or anything.
Right.
It pisses me off. I am excited to play Bloodborne. There's a bunch of goofy stuff for that, and I'm really into Dark Souls. I need to finish Dark Souls 2, which I've been playing like crazy, trying to get through. But we'll see. I'll probably play it a bit, but mainly put all my time into Dark Souls 2 till I can finish that. I'm not going to turn this into a glorified Netflix machine, unlike Chance, who enjoys doing that constantly. Other than that, I gave plasma and, of course, been doing push-ups like always. A freaking kid in our class cut his hand while cutting a bagel. Like, cut his hand. And it's like 16 stitches, and he cut through 3 fingers.
Oh, ah.
And it stitches across all 3 fingers, like, going down, and it's all just, like, thick black stitches all up and down. I was like, really? Really? That's like, you had to have been really cranking on that bagel for it to come out the way that it did.
Yeah, I mean, what was he using, a chainsaw?
I don't know, just a butter knife or something. But butter knives leave really nasty marks because they're so dull. So
well, I was going to say
gnarly scars on there.
I was going to say with knives and stuff, it's the knives that are duller that make the worst wounds.
Yeah.
The knives that are sharp, they leave clean lines. And everything, so maybe he was really cranking on that knife trying to get it to go through the bread, and it went through his hand too.
Anyway, we do have stuff. We do not have an email.
Nah, because
this is early and we're recording on Thursday.
Yeah.
And Chance isn't aware, so this is going to be a magical surprise for him come, Saturday morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whenever this gets published. Besides that, we need to roll into some news dump and try and fill in all our time, seeing as we still have a lot to talk about. So, moving on, we will put that in.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast's big steaming pile of news dump.
All right, we are hitting the news dump. We're going to go through as many stories as I possibly can and probably slow down when we make too many comments about this stuff. Wow, this is interesting. I'm looking... Just to derail the news dump, somebody made a faceplate, like a power outlet faceplate.
Okay.
That has an integrated... Doesn't take up either of the power outlets. And has integrated attached to it a USB port to charge phones and stuff.
Huh.
Which seems smart. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, that doesn't sound smart when you hear it, but you look at it and you're like, wow, that kind of works. I'm sending Jason a link so he can be more excited. Moving on. Let's see. We have... Mario Kart is apparently getting a new difficulty level, the Wii U version.
Interesting.
Which seems odd. You see that image I sent you?
Yeah.
It actually seems interesting. Fairly useful, honestly.
That's actually awesome. I think they should start putting those in more places, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But Wii U's getting a harder difficulty Mario Kart Wii U. Apparently, it's going to be a big deal. Moving on. This stupid list pissed me off. I'm not even going to look at it. Okay, Burger King. Now, this came across as potentially an April Fool's Day joke, but this website keeps reassuring me it literally is not an April Fool's Day joke.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, no joke, Burger King is releasing a cologne. Now, here's the weird part. It apparently smells like tacos?
Of course. Why wouldn't it?
I don't understand. In case you want to smell like you constantly came for Burger King.
Or that you were working out, evidently.
Yeah, well... I don't know why a cologne, but it looks freaking weird.
Well, you
Moving
do know
on.
they have colognes like bacon and M&Ms and other stuff like that, right? Play-Doh?
Yeah. But that's stupid.
Yes, it is.
This is another one of those stupid Kotaku stories. Players have built an MMO inside of Second Life. I have a Second Life for my Second Life, or however the joke goes. Moving on. I can read that later if we run out of time. Pixel Nation Retro Game Store was targeted in a swatting attempt. As the latest target of a swatting attempt, and like last week's incident in New Jersey, the same person who made the initial attempt to call in a SWAT team to the store also tried to escalate the situation so that people at the location would get seriously hurt or killed.
Wow.
On Monday evening around 6:33 p.m., someone placed a call to Princeton police claiming that a hostage situation was unfolding at the Pixel Nation Retro Game Store on Mercer Street in Princeton, West Virginia, and demanded a ransom. In an attempt to escalate the situation further, someone pretended to be a police officer, called the store, and told them that there was police emergency and they should lock the doors and get everyone in the back of the store. Luckily, the employee knew that the person on the other end of the phone was likely engaged in a swatting attempt and immediately called 911. The Princeton Police Department, the West Virginia State Police, and Mercer County Sheriff's Department responded to the scene. No one was hurt during the incident. Pixel Nation Game Store issued a statement explaining the incident and noting that the store was likely targeted by someone who watched its 24/7 online Ustream video feed. Yesterday, we believe our store was the target of an online hoax known by the internet terms of swatting. Nobody was hurt during or following the incident inside our local... You know, I don't know how much I need to talk about how people who SWAT deserve to be buried in the ground.
Head first.
Yeah, head first. This is really out of control. Now here's the stupid part. If I recall, okay, there are a couple other swatting stories, which we'll address this one now. Digital Press Video Games in Clifton, New Jersey gets swatted. New Jersey police received a 911 call from someone claiming that men armed with shotguns had taken hostages at a shopping complex located along Route 46 in Clifton. Clifton police were dispatched to the scene alongside a hostage negotiation team, SWAT personnel from the Passaic County Sheriff's Department, as well as Bearcat Armored Personnel Carrier. Traffic was blocked off in both directions on Route 46 for over 90 minutes, according to several reports. Police ultimately focused their attention on Digital Press Video Games on 387 Pygott Avenue, a small privately owned store that buys, sells, and trades both new and vintage video games. It also hosts a monthly meeting of the North Atlantic Video Game Aficionados Club get-together, which just happens to be taking place at the same time of the incident. Typically, the store hosts these events from 3 p.m. to midnight. Anyway, by 10 p.m., police secured the store within the small strip, including the video game store. Ultimately, law enforcement determined that the entire ordeal was a hoax. No one was hurt during the police operation. No one has been arrested for making the initial call as of this writing.
Why hasn't anybody been arrested? They should have tracked the guy down and swatted him.
Well, the problem is there's a lack of big repercussions because you don't see this on the news very often, or at all, just through gaming stuff. And this is one of those things where they don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and
this makes gamers look bad. This demonizes people who are into video games and people on the internet anyway. It's like, if this stuff gets out of control, not only will people start to say, well, we need to regulate the internet. We need to eliminate anonymity. We need to know everything that everybody is doing. Gamers are terrible people. They're calling and swatting. I mean, how much farther is this going to go before you damage yourself? Not just go to prison, but start to restrict freedoms of others because you can't take the responsibility of simply having the internet.
There we go. That's going to be the punishment from now on. If you swat someone, your internet privilege gets taken away.
Yeah. It's like we have to deal with them like we're the parents of the world now.
That's it. That's it, young man. That's the last time you swat anyone. Your internet
you will
privilege,
no longer
you're
be able
grounded.
to access the internet. Just ban them completely.
There you go.
At the very least, like what's happened in the past, send somebody to prison. And send them to prison for not just a short period of time. We're talking like 35 years.
Well, the thing is that a lot of times what will happen is, that there's that lady that like went missing. It turns out she just like ran away or whatever.
Right.
They will do things like they will charge you for police time and stuff in that instance. And that's what needs to happen in these swatting instances. Not only sending them to prison, but also charging them.
Well, there's
for
one
the
guy
waste of time and
recall
money.
that guy a few weeks back who was shot in a swatting incident.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one.
We talked about it on the podcast. You might not recall, but the kid who did that was caught and convicted for multiple swatting attempts. But because of the shooting and the almost death of the one guy, because he was shot and was rushed to the hospital because it was like a serious wound. The kid went to prison for like 35 years.
Wow.
I mean, it was like a attempted murder charge, so to speak.
Wow.
Because they're basically using the police to try and kill somebody. And it ain't funny.
No, it isn't.
It's freaking stupid. So there's some UK stories I'm going to read, a couple of these.
Okay.
First of all, a UK school district will report parents to authorities for letting their children play rated 18 games. According to the Wild report in The Independent, parents who let their young children play games like Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty could be reported to police and children's social care as it is being negligent. The warning letter is a handiwork of a head teacher, Mary Hennessy Jones, of the Peartree School in Nantwich. That's such a British town name, which represents one secondary and 50 primary schools in Cheshire, England. An excerpt from the letter sent home to some parents was obtained by The Independent. It reads in part, "Several children have reported playing or watching adults play games which are inappropriate for their age, and they have described the levels of violence and sexual content that they have witnessed. Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Dogs of War, and other similar games are all inappropriate for children, and they should not have access to them. If your child is allowed to have inappropriate access to any game or associated product that is designated 18+, we are advised to contact the police and children's social care as it is neglectful." That was a mouthful. So here's a double-edged sword. One, children should not be exposed to those video games. Extreme violence, sexual content,
Right.
etc., etc. Number two, it is no freaking business of the school district what parents decide to allow their children to do. None whatsoever.
Nope.
Even if the parents are just pieces of crap who's like, I like to show my kids nothing but just the worst sort of like violent. I'm talking like he goes to bed watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well,
That's just what I do. And it's none of the business of the school. In all honesty, none of the business of the school.
you're right. Well, it's one of those.
Not that it would be a good idea.
It's one of those
but-
double-edged swords there. The school does have what's the word that I'm looking for? Does have they do have to look out for the welfare of the child. And if the kid is coming to school and the parent is actually neglectful in like not making them bathe, not feeding them properly.
Well, right.
But this
does not classify as neglectful.
This is, I let my kids play video games. What are you going to do about it?
Well, she specifically like cornered out certain video games. This is the long running habit of people trying to, I don't know, demonize.
Yeah,
It's like
it is.
It's like people make a big deal. It's like gamers are more and more accepted. More and more people are gamers.
Uh-huh.
And yet we have things like swatting. We have things like kids doing violent crap. We have parents letting their kids play games that clearly shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make us sound like a group of logical, reasonable people. It makes us sound like a bunch of nutcases.
Exactly.
And to be honest, I can't say that we are not. I can't disagree with that. But I am saying is we're not all the same. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And this
I do.
is definitely UK deals with stuff differently.
And yeah,
but this has been a trend, this sort of thing.
UK is very into Big Brother. They have CCTV everywhere.
Yeah, the most monitored city in the world is London.
Yeah.
Cameras everywhere. Still can't prevent like the subway bombing how many years ago. Another related UK story, which I alluded to before, is not what kind of games you play, it's how long you play them, according to new research from Oxford University. The study found that children in the UK play video games more than 3 hours a day, are more likely to be hyperactive and get involved in fights than those who don't play games at all, or for less than 3 hours a day. Researchers also revealed that they could find no link between playing violent games and real-life aggression. Interesting. Further, researchers say that the violent games do not appear to have any kind of impact on a child's academic performance.
Wow.
Length of time.
Yeah.
Curious. I wouldn't have thought, but apparently there's a correlation.
There is probably a correlation. I hesitate to say this, but it could be because of maladjusted socialization at that point. You're so used to the screen doing what you want, doing what you tell it, that when you're in a real world situation that doesn't conform to those,
your immediate control over the scenarios. And you know what? To be fair, and in a perhaps another point, length of time could also be sort of connected to the fact that there's a hyper sense of focus when it comes to video games, and lethargy when you do so, and you get a bunch of pent-up energy and frustrated, physicality that you're not expressing on a normal way because you're sitting for too long.
That could be it too.
And so when you go out, your body's been sort of depriving itself of actual activity, and you get pent up and anxious, and you become prone to perhaps violence too quickly.
Could be.
This is obviously uneducated speculation by the two of us, but it's curious that they found it has nothing to do with violence, but it has to do with the length of time. If you recall, last week we had a news report from the UK that said that it was something like average UK children play video games for 6 hours a day or something like that. It was something like ridiculous. Like, really? 6 hours?
That's a lot of time, yeah.
That's a section of time. Let's see if I can't find it really quick. It is... No. Jason, say something.
Oh, great. Now you're putting me on the spot. The thing is that we, as parents...
Okay, UK children spend 6 hours a day in front of the screen. Report. A new report from UK-based market firm Childwise claims that screen time among children has dramatically increased over the last 20 years. The report is based off a research firm's annual survey of 2,000 children, 5 to 16. The biggest takeaway is that children in the UK spend at least 6 hours a day in front of a screen. Okay. Anyway, as a parent, Jason's reaction.
Well, the thing is it was kind of funny. I read an article a while back about, like, Steve Jobs and some of the other technology gurus that are involved in tablets and smartphones and that kind of stuff. And, they were asking them how much time they allowed their children to spend on these devices that they have pioneered. And it ranged from almost from no time at all. They didn't allow them to even touch these devices to like 1 hour, maybe. You know what I mean?
Huh.
It was quite interesting. They're like, yeah, we don't mind making the rest of the world and their kids stupid, but we're going to keep these out of our kids' hands. Like, okay, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, as a parent, I do try to limit the amount of time my kids spend online or playing a video game or whatever else. It's hard to do, though, when you have more than one child and only like one computer, because then one of them wants to be on it playing the game and the other one wants to be sitting over their shoulder watching what they're doing.
Yeah, which potentially causes violence anyway. Let us move on from the craziness in the UK. Microsoft, there's some interesting story that came out from Oddworld inhabitants Lord Landon, who created Oddworld. And an interesting tidbit of information that he shared in a recent interview was prior to its launch, Microsoft was seriously considering giving away its first console for free.
Wow.
Lanning said it was one of the key reasons that he decided to make his game Munch's Odyssey, a launch title. At the time, Xbox thought that the core market was going to be casual. They were going to be the casual gamer's machine. Now that's why they approached us, because they said, we think you've got something that competes in that Mario space, and we think Mario's the thing to kill. We see that space, we want that audience, we love Oddworld, so why don't you get on this bandwagon, and we might give the box away. Lanning also revealed that Microsoft had considered buying Nintendo at one point, that some of the company wanted Xbox to focus on playing movies, while others suggested that all games released on the Xbox should be first party. Ultimately, cooler heads prevailed, and Microsoft listened to the leaders of the division, Kevin Bacchus, Seamus Blackley, and Ed Fries. Interesting information.
Huh.
Yeah. Here's an interesting story to come out. Nintendo has fired off a DMCA takedown notice at Super Mario 64 AD, a remastered version of Nintendo's 3D platformer for the 64, built using Unity. Specifically, the rework is the first level from the popular Mario game Bomb Battlefield. It was released last week for free. It was developed by programmer Rostin Ross, who used the Unity engine to recreate the level. The level is still available at his website as of this writing. Ross admits that he did use files from other Nintendo games to make his level, which is why Nintendo went after him. All the art and animations were done by myself, with the exception of Mario, Goomba, and Power Star meshes, which are ripped without animation from Super Mario Galaxy. A large portion of the sounds are from existing Mario games, while the ones I found and edited myself are from freesound.org. In its notice to Ross, Nintendo says Ross's creation is a breach of copyright for Nintendo Super Mario 64 video game, including but not limited to the audiovisual work, computer programming, music, fictional character depictions. I don't know. There have been plenty of people that have been doing remakes or homebrews or that sort of thing, and it hasn't been that big a deal. Even some groups will actually make cartridges for their games. It's like there were some Mario games, like Mario 3 games, where they sort of made new versions of it, new levels to play and that sort of thing. And the guys made cartridges of it, and I think they sold it. This guy's not selling anything, and why Nintendo sort of jumped on his throat about the whole thing is kind of confusing. They just don't want people to mess with what is their sacred cow.
Pretty much.
Odd. Community questions. Obsidian over Pillar. Okay, this is really stupid. So Pillars of Eternity, made by Obsidian, came out a little while ago, and there is a huge amount of backlash over one small joke in the game. A epitaph for character on a grave, I believe it was, reads as thus: "Here lies Fire Dorn, a hero in bed. He once was alive, but now he's dead. The last woman he bedded turned out to be a man, and crying in shame off a cliff." So it's a fairly funny little joke limerick there, and the anger and hostility about that in the game is from the transgender.
Of course it is.
Why in the world? Look, okay, so let's be clear. If you're a woman and you're naturally attracted to men, which is what we're biologically sort of built to do, you're naturally attracted to men, it's not surprising if you find woman-on-woman sexual content to be gross. It's not surprising. If I'm a guy and I'm naturally attracted to women, I don't want to see dudes making out. It's gross to me. Compound that with the difficulty, the immense difficulty that genders have to deal with, who sort of skirt the line between one or the other. I understand the difficulty of that, but it's a natural reaction for people to have confusion or feel grossed out because of those sorts of situations. You can't force everybody to be accepting of whatever lifestyle it is, whatever situation you have. Shoot, if I had a big head and some kid was like, "Oh, your head's gross," I can't start harassing his Twitter account and sending death threats to his Facebook simply because I was like, well, he's discriminating against big head people. Like, how dare he discriminate? That kid is a bigot and a racist because of the big head race, and a sexist, and we need to drive him out of town with pitchforks and torches. Let's get him, you guys. It's like, how unreasonable are these people? It's a freaking joke. If you don't like it, you don't buy the game. This is called freedom of speech.
And the thing is that they're saying that this guy was heterosexual and grossed out by the fact that he went to, have sex with this girl. Turns out that she's not a girl. She's a dude.
It's like, you're not allowed to be grossed out by being tricked into having sex with a girl and then finding out it's a man. Like, when you find out it's a man, you should be like, oh, well, that's fine. I was still attracted to you. No. That's not how it works. You're grossed out by dudes. You were disgusted and you killed yourself. This isn't even like them promoting anything. It's meant to be funny, and it's something a character did. It's not like the company's coming out and saying, okay, everybody who sleeps with transgenders should commit suicide.
Right, exactly.
Like, at no point was that in their press release. To be fair, I haven't looked at their press release, but I'm pretty sure that that's a safe bet it's not in the press release.
It's not like we hate all gays and lesbians. This is what happens when somebody who is normally heterosexual finds they've been tricked into having relations with their same sex. They don't suddenly go like, oh, well, my mind is now opened, and I am now accepting of you, because you tricked me.
Gender doesn't mean anything, and I can just sleep around. Hey, look, it's a dog. You know what I mean? It's like, look at that sexy dog wagging his tail. Why are you confused that people find it disgusting? Stop being outraged by crap. Stop treating people that you get criticized for. Like, I don't care if people criticize me. So be it. And in fact, I welcome it because I want people to disagree with me if they genuinely do. Stop being outraged by nothing. Nothing at all. Let it go. You don't have to make every single situation that ever occurs that might be even a remote slight chance that's a negative against you and turn it into like this big social war. If you consider yourself a social justice warrior, then you are a scumbag of the highest order. You do not need to fight every single thing you disagree with. There's nothing. Social justice is BS, and I'll tell you exactly why. Society can act in any way it wants to, and when you start to regulate how society acts and culture acts and how they react to stuff, and when you attack people for doing things you don't like or disagree with, then it stops being a free society. And we might as well just call ourselves Nazis and elect a king. I mean, that's it, right? It's game over at that point. It's like that whole going to college campuses and getting kids to sign a piece of paper that called for banning of hate speech.
What I always liked was the one where they went through some, it was an environmentalist conference, and they're like, we need to ban, what do they call it? Dihydrogen monoxide.
Yeah.
Dihydrogen monoxide is H2O, people. They were trying to get people to ban water.
Well, that's because...
And people signed their petition.
That's because people are stupid. That's because people are stupid. People are stupid and they want to find a cause and they want to feel like they're doing something good when you're just an idiot signing a piece of paper. And when you attack people because they're different, you're just like all the other pieces of crap. Now, the free speech exists for a reason. Not because you can attack people not because it allows you to say whatever you want to as long as it's agreeable. And nobody else could say things because it's hate speech or whatever. It's for everybody. It exists specifically to protect those people that say disgusting things. Specifically. I don't need to worry super much about free speech because I don't say much that would get any government's attention. But besides being critical.
You can get other people riled.
Right, I can.
And that's why you need to be protected.
That's not the point. We need to protect people who say the terrible things. I want communists and Nazis. I want all of I want racists. I want members of the Ku Klux Klan to freely be able to express their opinion if they want to and not go to prison for it or be destroyed for it or be worried that somebody's going to ban them.
But at the same time, that means that people who are against the KKK get to speak their mind too and tell the KKK exactly what idiots they are.
But that's not what they want.
No,
they don't want that. They want to be able to call you a racist and not allow you to say racist things.
Yep.
They don't freaking care. It's not there to protect you when you want to fight against people you disagree with. It's there to protect the people who say the ugly things in the world. That's what it's there for. And trying to ban things like that is far more disgusting than perhaps some of the worst things that a racist could say. Because you're trying to destroy everything that freedom means as opposed to them just saying bigoted crap. They've not done anything to anybody yet. It's just words. You're actually causing threats against the essence of what freedom is. And that's more disgusting than anything I can think of. It's important. It's freaking important, and it pisses me off when people start to, ban free speech. We need to go after people that say things that disagree with us. And I've made this argument before, and I'm not going to do it all the freaking time. At any one point, think of some of the most disgusting things. Racism in this country. At any one point, racism against black people was popular. Right. If we stuck to the idea of what's politically correct and popular and populist at the time as being correct, then we would have never gotten out of the days of racism. Because that was popular at one time, and anybody that disagreed was against what everybody thought, so we need to ban people from disagreeing with us. And you're like, well, we don't, as long as it's stuff that's good, it's like, who's to judge? You? Are you now the moral arbitrator on what's acceptable speech? What if 20 years down the line, there's something you think is perfectly fine and benign, and 20 years down the line, people find what you say is disgusting, and they ban you? What if all of a sudden the entire country turns Nazi, and they're like, anybody that sticks up for Jewish people should be banned, and there's free speech should be taken away? And you're like, well, it's like, no, this is what's popular. This is what's currently politically correct. You people need to figure this freaking out, because it's starting to piss me off. You can't ban people for things that's simply unpopular. If you're an honest person, you stick up for those who say the disgusting things so that you can continue to say that which is good. Anything you want to add before I start punching the screen?
I agree with you. I feel the same way. It's one of those things where, it just gets stupider and stupider all the time. And I want to be able to say that it gets stupider and stupider all the time.
Yeah. You want the freedom to be able to actually say that.
I don't necessarily
Al Gore.
agree with the hate speech and racism, and I don't agree with that stuff, but I don't want somebody stomping on my rights to say what I want. So, I don't have to respect your opinion. I may think you're a bigoted idiot, but I'm not going to stop you from saying that you're a bigoted idiot.
Yeah, well, and you should be free to say that to them, and you can't stop them from saying it back. However you fall on the climate change thing, no joke, it was maybe a month or so back, Al Gore literally came out and said, we need real-world legal consequences for those who disagree or don't believe in global warming.
What a freaking moron.
I could not. He proposed literally fining or sending to prison those who disagreed with...
Okay, here I'm going to exercise my rights of free speech and call him an idiot.
Gosh. He literally said that. I was like, I don't care if somebody honestly believes that tiny gremlins grow inside the ground and are what create volcanoes and they control the world. I don't care if that's what somebody believes. They can believe it if they want to. This is what is called a free society. Moving on. Mortal Kombat 10 producer leaves Twitter after threats to his family. Once again, people who can't stand it when people disagree with them. In a series of tweets, Himmerich explained why he's leaving Twitter. So to be clear, the reason I don't want to do this Twitter anymore is not fans asking for characters or hints or whatever. I get that. Mortal Kombat 10 producer Sean Himmerich wrote, "This is passion and love for Mortal Kombat, and I also have that. So I get it. No problem. I'm glad people care about their favorites. I used to be thick-skinned enough for the random personal attacks. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I've been in my share of fights. However, I could not deal with the threats of violence to my wife and now young daughter. Threats of sexual violence are even more disturbing. You want to fight me for any reason? I'm probably willing to go, verbally or physically. I can hold my own, but threats to my ladies, no. This is disgusting." And it happens all of the time. And people just, and they can't follow through on their threats. And even if they could, they can't get out of their parents' basement because it's too, difficult to climb the stairs.
Frickin'.
This is the world. This gamers and people who troll the internet. This is what you're doing. Eventually, we're just going to have government control of the internet because you children can't play nice. You can't make death threats to people in normal life. Isn't it a crime?
Yeah, well, it's assault. It's kind of funny. I found this out years ago, but I always thought assault was when you went and you hit someone, and that's not it. It's battery. Assault is when they feel threatened by your actions.
Yeah, I don't actually care for that.
No, I don't either. I think it's kind of stupid, but
no, it is stupid. To me, assault is physical contact. But when you verbally do something to make somebody uncomfortable,
you can get sued for it. You can get thrown in jail.
Legally speaking, it's part of the law. And if people are doing it, they should be put in prison for it. Especially these sorts of people, the cowards that hide behind their computer. I disagree with how that's approached, but it's part of the law, so they should enforce it at least against these scumbags. Moving on, PlayStation Vue subscribers are getting AMC, which is a huge boon for PlayStation Vue, the subscription service, because, The Walking Dead, which is a huge boon for them. Sony acquires OnLive assets and patents, apparently. They made a deal with Online and bought a bunch of stuff. GameStop halts online pre-orders for the newest Nintendo Amiibo figures. Apparently they're getting too much. Let me look at this. Now, pre-ordering option is off the table, according to GameStop, who issued a brief statement on its Facebook page. Nintendo is basically saying it's not our problem in this particular situation. And rightfully so, because it really has nothing to do with them. Due to very strong demand for the newest wave of Nintendo Amiibo figures, GameStop has experienced some technical issues with our website. At this time, we are accepting pre-orders of Amiibo in stores only. Well, that's all. You have to go into a store. I'm sorry. Moving on.
Boo-hoo for you.
Microsoft hits Halo Online modders with DMCA takedown.
I said boo-hoo for you.
Sorry, what's that, Jason?
Have to go into the store. Losers.
Oh, here's the other story. Princeton, West Virginia game store swatting tied to a series of prank calls. I don't even have to read this story. I guarantee you it's going to be phone calls made, nobody was injured, guy's been making like how many calls and for some reason has a grudge against this
Yeah,
person.
seriously.
I don't know what to do with these people anymore. Japanese mobile powerhouse DENA hopes that their first game for Nintendo mobile deal will reach 3 billion yen a month. Yeah, right. BioWare Orbit Java framework now open source is now available. I'm not going to read that. We're down to the end of this podcast. I always get angry. There's always something stupid on the internet that's going on that's going to make me pissed off. Freedom of speech is one way to piss me off.
I want freedom of speech for me. I don't care if you get it.
That's basically what it is. It's like when people talk about diversity. It's like, we need more diversity. It's like, we need to be accepting of lesbians and gays and transgenders. I was like, oh, that's fine. But you can't disagree with their lifestyle. It's like, well, that's not diversity then, is it? It's like, we could be diverse as long as you don't disagree with their lifestyle. It's like, it's diversity of, like, some things, but you can't have diversity of opinions. You have to agree to accept other people and be diverse. Otherwise, you go to prison. And it's like, well, that's not diverse anymore. Shut up. Logic does not work in the political
Well, it's one of those things where the reason that you have diversity is because people aren't the same. They're different. But in the instance...
And that's awesome.
In the instant that you force somebody to accept the diversity and make them be okay with it, it's not diverse anymore. You're homogenizing things.
And that's what they want. We'll all just be one brownish color, and we'll all hug, and we'll be required to have multiple sexual partners with men
there
and
you
women
go.
and animals.
Can't leave them out.
And robots. And the robots. Because we have to create freedom for robosexuals. Stupidest Futurama episode I've ever seen. Well, it's like, I can understand them trying to send a message about gay marriage and how it should be okay and stuff. But the whole robot human, or the robosexual thing, I'm like, first of all, this isn't an argument about two humans. This is a human and a robot. There's a huge difference. There was a lady in England that married a dolphin, and they legally allowed her to, because she's in love. It's like, don't you believe in love?
Not human dolphin love.
Not that kind. No, that is wrong. That is a sin. In the Bible, it said, "Thou shalt not swim with dolphin." Lie.
Screw you, dolphin.
Anyway, we're gonna get out of here. This is screw you, dolphin. Screw you. Oh man, South Park. We're gonna get out of here. Jason, leave us with something. I am too out of energy now. Pissed off.
If you don't like the life that you're currently living, RPGs are the way to go.
Yeah. If you don't like your
There you
if
go.
you don't like your life, get a second life. If you don't like your second life, get a second life in your second life. Because that second life character is depressed because he doesn't like his second life.
It just keeps going on.
It's like that mirror in a mirror thing. You're just looking for eternity. We're getting out of here. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Say goodbye, Jason.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Distracted Gamers podcast. If you like the show, follow Rhett and Jason, the world's two most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter @DG Podcast, or check them out at www.thedistractedgamers.com. If you loved or hated what you've heard here, email them at thedistractedgamers.blogspot.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason will care, since he hasn't any, of course.